Welcome to episode 4 of the Serpents Tongue. This thing is gaining some traction, some momentum, and it's moving forward. I want to thank all of you who have listened to prior episodes, and I want to thank you for being here on this episode. Hopefully this podcast can give you some benefit. I do indeed hope that you can derive something positive out of these messages. I want to start this broadcast off by thanking Sean, who is a subscriber. He was the one that came up with the name for the Serpents Tongue. And it's just a great name. Months and months and months ago, before when I was thinking of ways to start this podcast and what I would talk about and this, that, and the other, I made asked a question on the YouTube community tab or section about, do you guys have any good suggestions for a name for the podcast? And Sean had an awesome name, the Serpents Tongue, and I knew then that, okay, that just rolls well. I like the way that sounds. So I try to involve my subscribers in the production of these videos and etc. I really like or appreciate your guys' input. If it weren't for my subscribers and my viewers, there would be really no point in making these videos, making these messages, So not only do I want to thank Sean for the awesome name suggestion, which materialized into the actual name of the podcast, but I want to thank every single one of you for being here with me and contributing to the growth and expansion of this channel and its messages. And again, I do indeed hope that you can derive benefit from the podcast, my channel, you name it. So thank you. We've got an interesting podcast lined up for you guys today. I was going to bring a copy of the Emerald Tablets of Tahuti, also known as Thoth or Toth or Thoth, with me into the vehicle. I was going to park and read some passages from the Emerald Tablets. But long story short, things didn't happen the way I intended for them to happen, and I don't have the book with me. So we are going to save that for a future episode. But I do, ladies and gentlemen, want to talk about some experiences that I was thinking about last night while I was laying in bed getting ready to go to sleep. I was thinking about an experience that I had with a relative of mine years and years and years ago. I think I was probably between 22 and 24 years old when this happened. And long story short, towards the end of high school, I became really interested in health and healing and vitamins and nutrition's effect on the consciousness and mental peace and well-being and this, that, and the other. I stumbled across the work of Dr. Abram Hoffer and his work with niacin and became fascinated in targeted supplementation with selective vitamins and nutrients. I really became interested in a handful of things, and one thing led to the other, and I became interested in crystals as well. I became fascinated with them, to be honest. And I went onto eBay, and I was a lifeguard at the time, and my pool that I was lifeguarding for, a lot of the lifeguards were really flaky. So what I ended up doing was my boss gave me a raise, and I was making pretty good money I was making really good money for a 18, 19-year-old kid as a lifeguard. My boss at the time was a family friend, so some strings were pulled, and I got some pretty good money. But I had a pretty good amount of coin to spend because I was saving a lot of it. And, I decided to invest in a really nice set of chakra crystals on eBay. So after a little bit of searching, I found a nice set of chakra stones, and it came with 7 bags, and each bag was for a different chakra region. And it contained stones for that particular region. So the root chakra, also known as the Muladhara chakra, came with things like red jasper and hematite and I believe black tourmaline, more dense stones. And as you moved your way up through the solar plexus, which had stones like citrine and carnelian and things of that nature, as you moved up the chakra regions or the spine, the stones became more vivid in color and changed from, purples to blues, this, that, and the other. There was one bag that was associated with the crown chakra that contained a crystal that looked like a miniature brain. It was perfect. I've talked about this in older episodes I've talked about this on my YouTube channel before, but I've never mentioned it in the podcast, so we're going to talk about this. This is a very interesting experience that myself and someone very close to me had with this particular crystal. This crystal looked like a little brain. It had a cerebellum region. It had two areas that looked like a left and right hemisphere. And if you held this brain, and it also looked like it had a brainstem, if you held this crystal in the sunlight at the right angle, right in the middle of the crystal, the inner region of what appeared to be a brain, there was a perfect circular disc inside of it that if you held at the right angle in the sunlight, or any light source for that matter, the circular disc shined all 7 colors of the rainbow. It was a very, very interesting crystal, and I was drawn to it. I carried that thing with me, I carried it with me everywhere I went, and everybody I showed it to, I would ask, what does this look like to you? I wouldn't give them any, incentive to make it think. I wouldn't tell them that I thought it looked like a brain. I'd say, hey, what do you think this looks like? And they all would say it looks like a brain, because it did. It was a perfect brain. And long story short, I carried that thing with me for years, ladies and gentlemen. And then one night, a family member of mine took this crystal into his room, and we took a flashlight and turned it upside down. It was an LED flashlight, so the light shined upwards towards the top of the room. And I placed this crystal on top of the flashlight, and the flashlight illuminated the crystal. There was no light penetrating outside of the crystal. The flashlight was like the perfect size. It totally inhabited, the light of the flashlight inhabited the crystal, and that's it. It didn't escape outside of the crystal and light up parts of the room. So it was really a fairly magnificent thing to behold. It was actually quite beautiful. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a dark room with a perfectly illuminated crystal or a crystal ball, but it can really kind of take your breath away, the beauty, if you just sit there and look at all the inclusions of the gem, of the crystal. Nature is an incredible thing, ladies and gentlemen, and the fact that nature produces so effortlessly these beautiful crystals has always been a mystery to me. It's absolutely fascinating. So, long story short, we were both magnetically drawn to this crystal. We were just staring at it. And all of a sudden, I felt my eyes locking onto this crystal as if it were pulling me in to it. And it's like I couldn't look away. My head was locked on the crystal. Then I moved my eyes to look at my relative, a family member of mine, and the same thing was happening to him. I could tell this crystal was sucking him in, like a vortex of sorts. And before you know it, and I don't want to keep this too long, but long story short, you guys, we started to see the same images taking place within this crystal. We saw tanks running over street poles, people running. We saw tanks blowing things up. We saw fighter jets, and literally like a World War III scenario unfolding before our eyes in this crystal. And I remember we were both like mesmerized by this, almost hypnotized, because we went from being totally just in our normal state of mind to being entranced and enthralled and hypnotized almost by this crystal, which was showing us what we believed to be glimpses of a potential future. And we've talked about this extensively since it happened. We both saw the same things. I remember looking over at him and going, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" And he said, "Well, I don't know. What are you seeing?" And I said, "I see a tank." And then he said, "Oh, well, I see a street pole here." And like we were seeing the exact same thing. This was a very, very special crystal. And to this day, and this may sound kind of crazy, to this day, I think that this little crystal might have been one of the crystal skulls. So you might be thinking, "Oh, I saw something on History Channel, bro. They said that the crystal skulls were like these big things. What are you talking about, man? Your crystal was small." I don't give a fuck what you think. I really don't. This crystal showed us a handful of things, some of which I'm not going to talk about in this podcast or on this episode. Maybe we'll save it for future episodes. But we saw some really remarkable things. You could see like little people running around inside this crystal, ladies and gentlemen. Crystals hold memory, and they also, ladies and gentlemen, are like little divine computer systems that can indeed show you the future or potential outcomes of things. Why do you think there's so much symbolism in the psychic's crystal ball? When a true psychic, someone who is actually talented and clairvoyant, someone who can actually pierce the veil and see beyond the obvious, a true psychic, ladies and gentlemen, who's not just there, like 99% of them, to tell you what you want to hear and shuffle a bunch of tarot cards without even knowing what they mean, to scam you. A real psychic, the psychics of antiquity, the true occultist can use crystals to see things, to see visions, ladies and gentlemen. These are like little RAM sticks, random access memory sticks that the earth provides for us. And quartz crystals, and it was quartz, this little crystal ball was made of quartz, or this crystal brain. Quartz is a very, very powerful tool that we can use to see into potential futures. Now, the act of looking at a crystal and seeing visions is known as scrying, and it can be done with obsidian mirrors. You can do it just staring down at a perfect, still, reflective surface like a lake, which is what I think a lot of our ancestors did, especially our ancestors who imbibed in psychedelic sacraments. I think a lot of really incredible discoveries were made by being in altered states and looking at reflective surfaces. We've talked about this in the past, about scrying and how incredible it is and how important it is, because it's a direct portal into the subconscious. But that's besides the point. We're not going to get into some huge rant about that, folks. We saw the same thing in the crystal, and we corroborated while we were seeing everything. We were talking to each other about what we were seeing, and to like make sure we were seeing the same thing, and this, that, and the other. It's one thing to have a vision on your own. It's another to have a collective vision with two or more people, and you can corroborate what you've seen. That's a really powerful thing. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of weeks later, at about 5:30 in the morning, when the sun was starting to come out, I was laying in my bed with this same crystal, and the light from the street light outside of my room at the time, there was just enough light coming through the window to illuminate this crystal. And I saw Earth, as we know it, pretty much on fire. Catastrophe and chaos just wreaking havoc on the earth. And I saw all of these souls leaving the earth and gathering, I don't know how many miles away from the earth, but outside of the atmosphere, whatever you want to call it. All of these souls were collecting, grouping together in their Merkabas. Thousands of people were in their Merkabas, floating in what we can call space. Even though I have mixed opinions about space, I'm just telling you what happened in this vision. There was a mass configuration of people leaving Earth, which was being basically destroyed through war. We were grouping together so that we could go to a new Earth, a paradise realm. So I'm just telling you what I saw in these crystals. I wanted to share it with you because as things continue to gather here on Earth, as the chaos going on in the world right now continues to accelerate, I always have these visions in the back of my mind, and I'm thinking, God, is this what's actually going to happen? Is this a potential outcome? Could this potentially be what ends up happening on Earth? Now, I don't like to think that, and I don't necessarily believe that there's going to be some, massive tribulation of sorts and some huge chaotic war, but you never know, folks. So, I kind of wanted to just bring that up because when I was thinking about the Emerald Tablets today, that really shined in my mind's eye, those experiences, and it really solidified the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, There is so much more to life than what you're being told. There is so much magic around us at every single moment in constantly. Our perception has been locked into a non-salubrious way of functioning. We perceive a fraction of the whole, a tiny iota. Yet we go about our lives thinking that we've got it all figured out. It's really disturbing. And this is really the true foundation of what we could call the ego. You know, all these souls coming here, incarnating into this dimension, you know, using a small fraction of their power, not even aware that there's so much more to life, yet they go around thinking they've got it all figured out. Why? Because you have a degree? Because you have a PhD or an MD? That doesn't make you an intelligent individual. I'm sorry, but I'm here to tell you that I think most doctors are some of the, as crazy as it sounds, some of the dumbest people in this world. Some of the dumbest and corrupt people in this world. Now, I'm not saying all doctors are bad, but you know what, guys? I've seen people without even a high school diploma fix things that doctors could never fix. So I don't need to hear it. You see, folks, we talk about this often on this channel because it's one of the most pivotal and important things for you to understand. Life as it's being advertised to you is not the way the world works. It is an illusion built on a foundation of shit. It's like the Three Little Piggies. The mainstream narrative is made of straw. It's made of bamboo. It's made of obsolete materials. Its foundation is not rooted in strength. It's not concrete. Yet they want you to establish your life based on this weak foundation. This weak foundation, where by default, if you try to navigate through this realm, this magical realm, on their foundation, which is not firm, you will surely fall. You will surely experience the entropy and the decay that everybody else out here is. They sell you a one-sided bill of goods at a young age, and you learn to interpret reality through that bill of goods because you turn the information that you're programmed with at a young age into your reality. You program yourself with it through the subconscious mind, through belief. And belief is one of the most powerful ways to stimulate the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is how we actually create our reality. So we've gone into this in great detail in the past, and I'm not going to elaborate on it in this podcast. But come on, guys, the most important thing that I could ever leave my viewers, my subscribers, people who enjoy my message, the most important piece of information I could leave with you is that never believe in anything, regardless of how good it may feel, or regardless of how much comfort it might bring you. Like, for instance, religion. Religion often stimulates people and makes them feel satisfied. It gives them purpose. It makes them think they have balance. You can, ladies and gentlemen, just because something feels good, that does not make it accurate. That does not make it correct. Oftentimes, these religions and these beliefs that we learn to adopt are just life preservers that we use to feel better about life here in hell. We should never believe in things without thorough questioning on a very deep level through introspection. Because anytime you accept a belief and you run with it, it creates your reality. It's what you learn to identify with. It's who you become, you guys. Beliefs are dangerous. Never believe in anything until you have a good goddamn reason to do so. You know, if I were to die and had to leave something behind for my viewers, it would be the constant reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that there is so much more to all of this than we're being told. And that you should never stop pushing the envelope. I myself have experienced states of consciousness that 20 years ago I never thought were possible. I've experienced things within my body that are miraculous. that have brought me to tears. I shit you not. The Kundalini moving through my system is enough to make a grown man weep. Kind of like that Tool song, Lateralis. To weep like a widow. To bathe in the fountain. What do you think that song's about, folks? What do you think the album Lateralis is about? It's about awakening Christ's consciousness, Kundalini reintegrating the body and the mind with the proper programming that we were designed to live our lives under the jurisdiction of. That's Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness is the awakened Kundalini, the awakened Uraeus, the Luciferian ether. We have fallen so far away from that this is how hell has been created, you guys. We've been separated to Kundalini. We've been separated from divinity. We've been separated from our angelic heritage. Yet we go around this world thinking we've got it all figured out with these huge narcissistic ego complexes. This is disgusting. I wholeheartedly reject this world. And I am a living, emblazed embodiment of being in the world but not of it. I reject this world wholeheartedly in a way that I don't think most people could be able to handle by default because of the amount of stress that it brings. The way I look at reality, ladies and gentlemen, is on a firm foundation of truth. And to live under the jurisdiction or on top of this foundation, I can't just ignore the magnitude of the insanity here. I approach everything for what it is, not for what I want it to be, just so I can feel better about things. I have a firm grasp on the truth because my mind reasons properly. I'm lucid. I'm sane. 100% in a world where most people aren't. Do you really think that's going to be some easy peasy journey? No, it's going to test you. It's going to at times make you question your sanity, because that's part of the maturing process, to be driven a little insane, ladies and gentlemen. When Kundalini moves through your system, it awakens parts of your brain, body, anatomy, organs, consciousness, energy field, etc. that were prior not stimulated and not awakened. When Kundalini moves through your system and awakens all your entire glandular system, when it awakens your thyroid, when it stimulates your pia mater, your dura mater, your brainstem, your hippocampus, when it stimulates the proliferation of all these new chemicals in your brain, etc., you start to use your body the way the true living and hidden God, the monad, intended you to use your body. You start seeing things for what they are. You're no longer under the spell. You're above the spell. And until you experience higher states of consciousness, until you experience the shifting and the moving of the assemblage point and the reawakening of Gnostic consciousness, you will not be using these parts of your body that are waiting to be woken up and utilized and stimulated. And because of that, you'll be a part of the herd. You'll be part of the world. Does that not make sense? I just got through saying that I am in the world, but not of it. Because I've shattered the human configuration and rewired myself. And I currently stand above the human configuration. That may sound drastically egotistical and overly confident, but it's true, ladies and gentlemen. I see things for what they are. I don't ignore the bad. I accept everything for what it is. I'm nourished. I get the minerals into my system. I'm grounded. My magnesium levels are in an optimal range. Folks, I've worked overtime to constantly shift my assemblage point, to the point now where my energetic field, my auric field, my Merkaba, all of the subtle layers of energy coming off of my body that hold my body into this dimension, I have reconfigured the way that those layers of my body, my mind, and my soul, my energy field work. And because of that, I am an alien in this world. I am no longer of it. I see things much differently. I'm scanning reality with my senses awakened, the way that we were designed to interpret this reality. I have become something different. And I'm not trying to make this rant about me in any way, shape, or form. I'm just here to be honest with you, folks. What's the point of having a podcast if I can't be honest with you? What's the point? So, again, you guys, you will learn over time that you can do remarkably beautiful and incredible things with your life, with your body and your mind that you are currently being told are impossible by these corrupt to the bone establishment yes men, corporate lackeys, folks, and these so-called experts that aren't experts in fucking anything. Excuse me, but it pisses me off that we've been put to sleep by these scum. Because we were all told at a young age that basically you're just this broken little human and you got to trust the experts and doctors know what's best for you and all this other nonsense, folks. I've seen doctors with credentials up the ass and out their mouth kill loved ones with their expertise and all their bullshit. Literally kill people with dangerous drugs and chemotherapy and this, that, and the other. Yet I'm supposed to tolerate you people? I'm supposed to tolerate the experts? When you can't even keep someone alive with basic nutrition? You can't even help someone out? You want to put them on drugs and fuck them up and take them away from this world and ruin their family? Yet I'm supposed to trust you? I'm supposed to tolerate you? And all you idiot fucking establishment teachers and all this nonsense? No, it's time for you to trust us. It's time for you, the expert, quotations, to take some advice from the sane, from the lucid, from the intelligent, from the grounded, from those who are guided by the earthly mother's angels, not the fucking devil and Beelzebub's hierarchies of all this. It's just disgusting. The clouds of negativity swarming around these experts, swarming around all these politicians, swarming around all these teachers. You people are guided by evil, yet you're gonna gaslight me and tell me that I'm supposed to trust you with my life? Get a fucking grip. Get a fucking grip. I've been around the block many times more than the average person ever will be, because of my constant lust for wisdom. I've clawed at the door of gnosis until my bones bled, until they broke open. I've seen a lot of things, I've experienced a lot of things, and it's not egotistical for me to tell you those things. I'm just being honest with you. I've shattered the human configuration, rewired myself energetically, and I know the truth. I know the truth about the human potential, what we're designed to experience in regards to our consciousness. We're supposed to be angels with entire energy fields around us spinning at high velocities. Ladies and gentlemen, we're designed to have a nimbus, also known as a halo, around our head, connected to the celestial bodies. We're supposed to have no limitations. We can do anything if we put our mind together, kind of like that Tool song, Reflection, and you will come to find that we are all one mind, capable of all that's imagined and all that's conceivable. If we could get our minds together and get out of this New World Order collective consciousness hypnosis spell that we're under, and don't try to tell me that we're not under a spell, because we are. I'm not just talking symbolically when I say that. We have generational curses on us, folks. The serpent showed me this at a young age in my early 20s when it performed shaktipat. A serpent named Apollo performed shaktipat on my chakras and unlocked my chakra centers. It weaved light at the tip of its tongue and projected it into my chakras. I saw these diagrams entering into my chakras that were coming out of the serpent's mouth, out of the serpent's tongue, that were being projected into my chakras. It awakened my kundalini. Now, that may sound pretty crazy to you, that a snake showed me that there's been locks put on our chakras, folks. Hexes, literally. The serpent weaved light at the tip of its tongue, projected these diagrams, these geometric patterns into my chakras that broke free the locks that were put on my chakras. Now, that may sound really crazy, what I just told you about a snake awakening my kundalini. But ladies and gentlemen, I would advise, if you want to learn more about that, read a book by Philip Gardner called The Serpent Grail. That is a remarkably fascinating book about the ancient history of serpent worship, Ophidian worship. Christianity came along and Catholicism, folks, and got rid of all, for the most part, historical records of the serpent and its divinity. They went around on an agenda to remove serpentine artifacts and edifices and religious monuments. They wanted to, part of the Christian and Catholic religion's mission was to, quote unquote, slay the dragon. And what they meant by that, ladies and gentlemen, was the kundalini. The one of the origins of the dragon is just a feathered or a serpent with wings, which is what you see with like Quetzalcoatl, which is just a depiction of the kundalini energy. But I'm not going to get into that. What I'm trying to say here, ladies and gentlemen, is that they wanted to make the good guy look like the evil guy. They went on a mission to disrupt and distort the image of the serpent. Because ancient civilizations knew the power of the snake. The snake can awaken consciousness. It can perform shaktipat better than any human ever could. And that's why there's a particular someone who keeps coming onto my channel. I don't mean any negativity towards this individual, but they want to act like the only way to awaken kundalini is through an enlightened priestess, a woman. That's not true. That's one way of doing it, but there's a million different ways to awaken kundalini. Kundalini is driven by the true living and hidden God within us, the monad. Like to think that there's only one way to awaken kundalini shows me that you don't know what you're talking about, and I mean that in a loving way. I'm not trying to sound like a dick, but it's just remarkable. Some people just get bound by these spells of belief. Like I mentioned earlier, never believe something just for the hell of it. Belief is dangerous because it puts you in a box where you only look at your reality and the opportunities presented before you and everything else in life. You look at everything through the lens of your belief. Does that not make sense? Snakes, ladies and gentlemen, if you read The Serpent Grail, and Philip Gardner leaves, he puts all the history and everything that you need to know about the snake. The snake was the most divine symbol for pretty much every ancient civilization. From Africa to Asia, ladies and gentlemen, to the Native Americans, to especially the ancient Egyptians, who held the serpent up in monumentally high, in a monumentally high fashion. This is why the pharaoh has a cobra coming out of its head. This symbolized the awakened kundalini. The pharaoh's headdress, the uraeus. Look up the uraeus. U-R-A-E-U-S. Am I spelling that right? Sometimes I have to write things out in order to spell them right. U-R-A-E-U-S, I think. Uraeus. Just type it in on Google. It'll fill in the gaps for you. This is why the Egyptians wore snake armbands and jewelry. Come on, guys. Look at the Aztec and the Mayan culture, filled to the brim with serpentine symbolism. And don't believe everything that you hear about the Mayans and the Toltecs and the Egyptians and the Native Americans and this, that, and the other. We know for a fact that Egyptology is, Egyptologists are government agents. They are funded by the governments that want to keep a one-sided story and a one-sided narrative. They want to keep that, the norm, the commonplace thing. They're lying to you about everything. They want to tell you that slaves that were fed beer built the fucking the pyramids, folks. One of the 7 wonders. We can't even figure out how they made the pyramids with today's technology. Oh, but it's so advanced, our technology. Shut the fuck up. We're in the medieval period. We just have cars and smartphones, so we think we're so great. Disgusting. Come out of your trance. They want to lie to you about the Egyptian culture and make it seem like they were primitive, even though they designed things that we can't figure out how they designed it and replicate it. Shut the fuck up. You people are stupid. Oh, the Mayans were evil and, blah, blah, blah. And they sacrificed people and all blah. How do you just believe anything and everything you're told without question? And it makes me fucking sick. Because the Egyptian culture, the Egyptian civilization, the Mayan civilization, the Aztecs, the Toltecs, ladies and gentlemen, they left behind things that you can actually interact with. They left behind symbolism of Kundalini. They left behind tools written on the walls often, like in Egypt, the hieroglyphics. These are tools that we can use to penetrate into our subconscious mind to awaken at Kundalini energy. And once you experience the consciousness that these people were tampering with and mastering, like the Egyptians, masters of Kundalini. Once you experience Kundalini, you now vibrate at the same frequency while you're experiencing the Kundalini energy, at least. You see reality the way that our ancient ancestors did, and you know that these people were of integrity. Enough's enough. We're being lied to about everything, folks. We're being fucking lied to about everything. And I'm sick and tired of people not questioning what they're told. And then you turn around and act conscious. Get a grip. When you move and shift the assemblage point, when you reconfigure your energy field, you can start to sniff like a horrid stench the complacency and the herd-like thinking of the people around you, even if they pretend to be a wolf. There's nothing worse than a wolf, a sheep that pretends to be a wolf, acting like you're conscious. You can't even figure out how you're being lied to. How your own belief systems and ways of interpreting reality are bringing you misfortune. You're being stupid. I hope that makes sense. Man. Come on, guys. We're being lied to. We don't have perceptual fluidity. We don't have perceptual fluidity anymore. We have an incredibly powerful platform here. It's called nature, a shamanic garden, a living, breathing, conscious entity, which we're supposed to be calling home. But the Matrix has come in, put all these paved roads everywhere, telephone poles everywhere, Wi-Fi systems, these bogus shelters that we call homes. It's set up this artificial dream-like world that's like a computer-generated dream world. And we learn to literally interact with that instead of nature. Like right now, I'm driving past a bunch of trees. Trees are literal internet broadband systems of like 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimensional wavelengths of consciousness and energy. We are living in a living internet of sorts, a living library, a shamanic internet. Everything around us right now, all these trees, are telepathic fucking satellites, folks. These trees are living conscious entities, yet when the average dolt, the average moron drives by all this, all they see is the most obvious parts. All they're focused upon is themselves. It's insane how advanced a tree is, folks. And yet no one, for the most part, will ever unlock that secret. Because you don't have perceptual fluidity. You don't see the energy fields around trees because you never alter your consciousness. You've never put in an effort to break the veil or pierce the veil of your programmed mind. Yet you want to sit there and act conscious because you're a part of the conscious community and you go to psychedelic festivals and all your other bullshit. acting like the sum total of your wisdom. I'm not even going to get into it. Excuse me. I say that a lot, but sometimes it's just I have to catch myself before I go down I dovetail into a wormhole of verbiage that's not necessarily necessary to the point of the particular episode or whatever. Goddamn. Man, excuse me, you guys. But, so, again, the one thing that I'd like to leave behind to my viewers, etc., is that, or leave you with, is that you guys, you've got to take action now. You've got to get the rubber to meet the road. You have got to get the engine humming. You have got to make progress. Otherwise, you'll just be another moronic pig out here in this matrix. I don't mean to sound rude, but it's true. You will go the duration of your life bored out of your mind, wishing for more but never achieving it because you're complacent. You have got to learn to never accept the word no when it comes to your development, when it comes to your spiritual progress. You have got to shatter the barriers yourself. You have got to be like Lucifer. You have got to rebel. You have got to say no to what appears to be restrictions on what you can and can't do. What I mean by that, folks, is that many people will approach things many people, for instance, will try to awaken Kundalini, but after a year or two of not experiencing it, they might just go back to, it's not possible, and I'm going to find Jesus. What I just did was evil. I was part of the occult and all this other nonsense. Some of you guys are so close to achieving what you've been longing to achieve, and you give up right at the last minute. You've got to learn to always say no. Otherwise, you will be beaten down, and you will learn to conform to things that are not actually true. It is not true, ladies and gentlemen, that we have limitations. It is not true, ladies and gentlemen, that enlightenment is impossible. It is true that it is possible. I've experienced it a handful of times, and I'm no one special. I'm just someone who never gave up. I knew at a young fucking age that there was more to life than what we were being told. And that foundation of understanding motivated me to not only believe that there's more to this fucking pig pen that we're being told, but it led me to constantly clawing at that idea, that foundation, until I discovered that it was true. When I experienced Kundalini, I knew the script for me was entirely flipped. I knew then and right then that we were being lied to, and that we are a divine, intergalactic, fucking hyperdimensional species with multiple different spliced genetics, with reptile, I'm not even going to get into it. There are so many secrets about who and what we are, but we are indeed part angel. I knew then that we had been lied to exponentially, in the glimpse of an eye, in the blink of an eye, in the twinkle of twilight, like fairy dust above my head. When the Kundalini awakened, I knew then. I downloaded it all. Right then and right there, I knew with a firm understanding that, okay, I just knew. It's hard to explain, but I knew it all. I knew it all right then. God, the true living God, the monad, that exists within our cells, the realm of light, the pleroma. I knew right then. There was a transference of energy. It was just boom. All right, we're in a spiritual war here. We've been lied to. We've bought into it. We're walking fucking zombie-like apes. We're stupid because we've fallen from our true understanding. The spiritual war, ladies and gentlemen, is for the genetic tampering that's going on within us, taking us away from the enlightenment, what we're designed to experience. See, whether you're aware of it or not, you're part reptile, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not going to get into that in this video, but I just wanted to bring that in. The Kundalini will prove that to you. I don't care how many fucking biology books funded by the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, and the Rothschilds that you read. I don't care how many genetics books that you read. that are funded by all these corrupt establishments, all these, the books that tell you who you are, ladies and gentlemen, just so happen to be funded by some of the most corrupt establishments that have funded all the wars, this, that, and the other. So don't try to tell me, I read it in my book, I went to college, yeah. So therefore you're wrong. We're part reptile. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're an alien. You're a fucking alien. Actually, you're an alien with intergalactic, interstellar, divine, monumental, like God power. You're a demigod, but you're not anymore because you're now a zombie because you've been genetically tampered with, and you're full of shit. And your subconscious mind is totally fucking bastardized. You're about as far from a god or a demigod as a cat is to a lion, or a dog is to a domesticated dog is to a wolf. You've been tampered with. How many times do I have to explain this before you get it? Now, that's the warfare. That's the fucking warfare, folks. The tampering with your genetics. Your genetics are designed to have the full expression of God within them. Your senses, once your genetics are clean and pure and working the way they're designed to, when your cells are clean, etc., when your subconscious mind is clean, ladies and gentlemen, your senses interact with the world in a very elative way. It becomes bliss. It's called nirvana. We're designed to walk around this garden kingdom, this holy realm, this holy garden. You motherfuckers. We're designed to walk around this holy garden enlightened with nirvana moving through every single one of our cells, to the point where you literally feel like you're having a nonstop orgasm, not just in your penis or your vagina or whatever, but through every single one of your cells. This is the greatest con job that has ever happened to humanity, or in general, in the fucking galaxy, in the universe, in all of existence. We've had our genetics tampered with. Our bodies don't even work the way that they're designed to work. We're supposed to feel fucking good all the time in a way that you can't even imagine with your programmed mind. So don't try to tell me I'm incorrect when you're not even fucking functioning properly. Get your mind right. Do some of the protocols that we talk about. Shift and move the assemblage point. Enter into states of non-ordinary reality by altering the consciousness with the proper protocols. Interact with nature while altered. Learn. Expand your horizons. Reintegrate yourself with the truth. Remove yourself from falsehoods. Vomit them out. Vomit them out. Through your efforts, folks. Through your alchemy. Because there is a genetic warfare going on, and it's taken everything from you. Your perceptual fluidity, your health, your enlightenment. They have gone into the cells, ladies and gentlemen, with their genetically engineered food and their phthalates, which destroy human fertility, with their estrogen mimickers, which alter your hormonal expressions. They have gone into your cells, the most fundamental building blocks of who you are, and tampered with them, with the heavy metals, with the excessive iron, with the nanotech, ladies and gentlemen. They have infiltrated into your cells like a sentinel from the movie The Matrix, and they have disrupted the proper communication of all of your organelles in your cell. Cells, plural. Look up organelles. It means little organ. Your cells, each of them, have an entire hierarchy of organelles with their own unique functions. These things work to keep you alive. They also affect your consciousness and how much of the electromagnetic spectrum your body and your mind can interact with. They have tampered with and destroyed the health of your organelles, such as but not limited to your mitochondria, the so-called powerhouse or engine of the cell. There's a lot we aren't being told about the mitochondria. This is the foundation. The mitochondria is the foundation of what is known in Star Wars as the midichlorian. George Lucas had his mind on straight. The man was a master. He was very privy to the Kabbalah, for one. The man's not stupid, let's just put it that way. So Star Wars is beyond stupid now. Ever since Disney bought it out, I mean, it's such garbage. They're not even talking about nowadays. Star Wars isn't even about what Star Wars was originally about. Which was about the interplay of the Klipothic tree of life and the Dayside tree of life. And how it affects human nature and consciousness, and etc. Now Star Wars is about politics. Because it was bought out and it's being ran by some absolute idiots. But that's besides the point. The same thing has happened with pretty much all entertainment. It's a bunch of woke mob propaganda idiots. Disgusting on a very deep level. But the mitochondria is the midichlorian. The functioning of the mitochondria or the midichlorian dictates largely how well all of your cells communicate with one another. And you have over 100 trillion of these. You have over 100 trillion of these. When your cells communicate properly with all 100 trillion of them, your entire body and your mind works much differently. You're able to interact with the Force, which is Kundalini. What do you think a Jedi is? It comes from the Djed pillar. Look up the Djed pillar, D-J-E-D, or D-J-E-D-I. The Djed pillar. It's not wholly about that, but largely. What do you think a lightsaber represents? An individual's ability to wield light, to utilize light. What does Kundalini do? It bathes us in the light. My God, your cells become illuminated, like luciferase. You become illuminated, your cells. You use more, the midichlorian, the mitochondria, reawakens all the organelles. And when the organelles actually function properly, folks, all 100 trillion plus of them, these are the fundamental building blocks of who you are being awakened. These organelles. This is when you get those really quick reflexes and your mind becomes clairvoyant. And you start to experience reality on a much deeper level than the people around you. You start utilizing the Force, life force. What the fuck do you think they were talking about in those films? Man, it's just mind-blowing, guys. So, we're going to start wrapping this one up. We're probably going to keep this episode right about like the hour mark. Right around an hour. I mean, the one of the foundations of becoming... Here's the thing. You have got to realize that you have been crippled genetically. You've been tampered with. You're like one of those salmon that they take insect genes from, and like a lot of the salmon on the market nowadays, you guys, they're Franken food. They've got all these weird genetic splices. You're like a fucking GMO salmon. You've had all these tweaks and modifications that have changed the fundamental you and turned you into something else. They've shut the Kundalini off through the genetic altering of your cells, through the bastardization of the midichlorians or the mitochondria, etc. Once you realize that you've been broken down by the New World Order and the master engineers, the genetic engineers that are like the priest class that sits on top of you, that regulates all the food production and what goes into it so that they can turn you off. Once you realize that you've been monumentally fucked with and you actually understand it, then you can start the road to recovery. There's a recovery process. There's a healing process that has to take place in order for you to become lucid again. You don't just decide one day that you're conscious, idiot. Wake up. You know better than that. And I'm not pointing my fingers and calling any of my subscribers idiots. I'm speaking in generalities to the population at large. There is a recovery process that has to take place, ladies and gentlemen, because your body is fucked up. You've got to get the antioxidants into your system. I use vitamin C daily in high doses. I'm not recommending that you do that. I'm just telling you what works for me and what continues to work for me. I follow in the footsteps of Linus Pauling and Abram Hoffer and people like Andrew Saul, Dr. Norman Walker, you name it. These are my heroes. Some people might have heroes that are on the sides of Wheaties boxes. Some people might have heroes that are WWF or WWE wrestlers. That's fine. Some people's heroes might be musicians. That's fine. My heroes are the founders of orthomolecular medicine. I follow in their footsteps. I have a very, very specific supplementation regimen that brings me a lot of benefit. You've got to get the proper nutrients into your system, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can recover from this New World Order mess, this genetic alteration that's gone on, this bastardization of the human genome. We require 90 essential nutrients, just like Dr. Joel Wallach will tell you, although there's more than 90 essential nutrients, folks. There's more than 90 essential nutrients. I don't care what people say. There is. But the foundation of health is those 90 essential nutrients. The proteins, the amino acids, the vitamins, the minerals, the essential fats. And right now there's this huge kind of Ray Peat style movement, this Ray Peat style movement to just hate on certain types of like DHA or this, that, primarily DHA. I don't think DHA is an issue. I think that it needs to be cycled, and I think that it needs to be used properly. But fish oil, and especially, I prefer krill oil. Krill oil is incredible. It can be used as a tool with remarkable success. You know, there's always going to be someone who tells you that this particular thing is good and that particular thing is bad. There always is. It's about context. But I will tell you this, however, ladies and gentlemen, if you get off of gluten and vegetable oils and you start supplementing with the minerals, grounding yourself, blocking the blue light, doing the full body relaxation exercise, you're going to feel better. You're going to start becoming a better version of yourself. And these are just foundational platforms. And what I mean by that is people like Ray Peat, people like, I'm not going to name any names, but some certain people who have taken Ray Peat's message and are like trying to turn it into a business model. These people, most of them, they are surface level health advocates. They are not going beyond the surface. They want to teach you that the sum total for the most part is just food, lighting, grounding, and some, light, maybe stress relaxation, water filtration. Ladies and gentlemen, the true pinnacle of health is perceptual fluidity. Having an energetic field that can interact with more of the electromagnetic spectrum, the true fountainhead or spearhead, if you will, of health is Kundalini, which is enlightenment, which is what the true living and hidden God designed us to experience. Enlightenment. We are so far from that. We are so genetically altered and fucked up in the mind. Oh, but just eating more white sugar and avoiding DHA and eating some low PUFA foods is going to save you? Get a fucking grip. People like that died just like everybody else. We should be focused on our health, ladies and gentlemen, and eating right to the best of our ability, but we should be focused on getting our minds right. First and foremost, in tandem with, healthy diet. And I'm not bashing Ray Peat. I think the man's brilliant. But it's like a trend right now where people find people's information, they make light tweaks to it and repackage it to make money. And or they just like the trend of things, like the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet was a perfect example of a trend that has run its course. You know how many people I know were on a carnivore diet and are eating carbohydrates again? You know what I mean? Like once again, don't believe in nothing. Believe in nothing, folks. Believe in nothing. Because if you start identifying with something, whether it be veganism or a carnivore diet or a Ray Peat diet, what's probably going to end up happening is that you're going to be stuck in that box, and it's going to make it difficult to get out of that box, especially if you make an online identity around it. Like for me, it was somewhat hard for me to come out and leave veganism because I had learned to identify with it. You want something to identify with. Identify with the lust for uncovering the truth, regardless of how hard it is to accept. Become a truthitarian. Or a Gnosticitarian, or, a wisdomtarian. That's the true food. Sinking your teeth in gnosis. Sinking your teeth into the apple of Eden. Sinking your teeth into the true hidden wisdom veiled by these secret societies. That is power, ladies and gentlemen. That is power. That is the true food for the soul. You can't eat your way out of unhappiness. You cannot eat your way out, ladies and gentlemen, of a spiritually devoid life. Food can absolutely influence these things, but come on, guys. So I think in episode 2, we're going to start reading from the Secret Covenant. In fact, I might open my park and open my phone and read some passages from the Secret Covenant. Just because I think I mentioned that in the last episode. I think I did. My desire to read from the Secret Covenant. And for those who don't know, the Secret Covenant is an alleged document on world domination and how to control the human species. It's very, very interesting. And we're going to open it up, I think. We're going to read at least a couple of passages from the Secret Covenant. Now, for those who don't know, I actually have a couple of outdated videos on my YouTube channel, the Sacred Serpent YouTube channel, where I let me just open up these tabs really quickly, you guys, so I can read to you. I have a few videos on my YouTube channel where I talk about the Secret Covenant and I break it apart and thoroughly explain what it is and what it isn't. I think in episode 5 of the Serpents Tongue, between episode 5 and 10, I'm going to spend like 3 hours completely breaking it apart and discussing exactly what it is. Now, before we continue, I just want to say that I have extremely high doubts that the Secret Covenant, the document, which is allegedly, again, and it's an alleged document of world domination that was like left behind in a photocopier at some world, like maybe like a Bilderberg group, I'm not sure, a Bilderberg group meeting. I'm not 100% sure the exact story. I don't think it's real. I don't think the Secret Covenant is real. However, there are some remarkably powerful passages in the Secret Covenant that are true regardless of whether or not the document is authentic or not. So, we are going to look up the Secret Covenant, and we're going to read a few passages. So, if you've made it this far in this video, I want to thank you for listening, you guys. It means the world to me that you're here with me. I know I say that a lot, but it does. Without you guys, without my viewers, without my subscribers, without my listeners, this channel wouldn't be anything. It really wouldn't. So let me see if I can find a PDF of this so we can get right into the juicy bits. Here we go. We've got it. Maybe I'll attach this to this podcast. I'm not sure. I probably won't, though. Let me just find a shaded spot to park, you guys. Again, this is not the most optimal recording studio, but this is real life. Park the vehicle, turn the AC up a little bit. So again, you guys, the Secret Covenant is an alleged document of world domination that, if I remember properly, was like accidentally left behind in a photocopier at some like New World Order meeting, and someone ended up finding it, and then they leaked it through email or something. I don't remember the exact story, but it goes: an illusion, it will be so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. They're talking about the control grid. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane. How many of you guys, when you started becoming conscious and aware of the truth out here, were regarded as crazy by your loved ones, by peers, by family members, etc., by friends? Think about that for a minute. We will create separate fronts to prevent them from seeing the connection between us. That's so true. And that's largely why, you guys, they keep us fighting amongst one another. The New World Order, the people that run the show here, they want us to fight amongst one another so that we don't experience unity. Because from their perspective, divide and conquer, they can keep us fighting amongst one another. Then, they don't even have to worry about controlling us, because we control ourselves through chaos by fighting amongst one another. And that's why countries fight amongst one another, gangs, factions, family members. It's called structured disorder. Here we go. We will behave as if we are not connected to keep the illusion alive. Our goal will be accomplished one drop at a time, so as to never bring suspicion upon ourselves. This will also prevent them from seeing the changes as they occur. This is one of my favorite quotes from this document, and I've mentioned this in many of my YouTube videos over on the Sacred Serpent YouTube channel. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. That's an entire book unto itself, what was just said. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. They know the secrets of how your body and mind works. They know who you are. They know your divine heritage. They know the potential of the human species, and how if we actually do evolve into the angelic species that God intended for us to be, we're going to wipe them the fuck out. These are like Martians who have hijacked our dimensional sphere and want to use us as a food source, and they want to keep us dumb and entertained here in hell so that we never break free from the prison that we've all put ourselves into willingly. Perceptual fluidity. Perceptual fluidity is the key here, folks. Getting that Luciferian ether, that Christ consciousness, the Promethean fire, waking up. It's not about peace and harmony and love here, folks. It is to an extent. That's the foundation. But all of you wannabe spiritual, moronic, fucking contradictive idiots who want to act like, oh, calm down, Sacred Serpent. It's about love and peace. No, you're fake. You don't have love and peace. If you had love and peace, you would understand the truth. You'd be thirsting for wisdom. You'd be doing something with your time other than telling people to be complacent here within the confines of the prison walls. Read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, or Thoth, or Tahuti, as he's also referred to, and read about how this is a prison system, ladies and gentlemen, and that you've been lulled to sleep while thinking that you're just the greatest thing ever. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. Do you think Horus or the real Jesus was here to just be a lovey-dovey fake fuck? No. There are certain roles that we have as humans. We are designed to be stewards of this earth. We're not supposed to sit by while the enemy gets everything, takes everything and ruins the quality of our lives. We're not supposed to just sit back and say, oh, I love it all. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, honey, it's so great here. Relax, Sacred Serpent. Relax. You need to chill. Take a chill pill. No. I am calm. Calm comes from being fulfilled, doing something beneficial, not only for yourself, but for the whole. I am fulfilled. My cup is full from the inside. It is running over from my efforts to try to make the world a better place, to try to inspire people, to shatter their perceptual prison that they're in. You're not calm. You're just sedated in hell. Love is about reaching out and telling people not what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. It's trying to make the world a better place, trying to inspire people. You're not calm just because you say you're calm or because you ignore the evil of the world. That doesn't make you calm. That makes you afraid and weak. Come on. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute, ladies and gentlemen. They know that they know that at your highest potential, through Kundalini, you become God. You actually merge heaven with earth, and they don't want that to happen. They don't want heaven consciousness bleeding into this sphere, which is why they spend billions of dollars every year, trillions as a matter of fact, keeping people stupid, providing people with entertainment and sports and all this other shit. And the root word of sport, I believe, is disport, which means to distract. This is what the Romans did, ladies and gentlemen. They used the Colosseum to keep people from tampering or looking into the politicians and their corrupt deals. They wanted to keep people entertained. So they built the Colosseum and got people obsessed with barbarism. It's disgusting. We are living in the medieval period, ladies and gentlemen. We are living in the Roman era. You just think that, we have phones and, we have plumbing and electricity. You think you don't think things are the same as they were in the medieval period? This is the New Age medieval period. All the disgusting behavior and the stupidity here, it's worse than the medieval period. My God. The New Age, Dark Age, I like to call it. We will work together always and will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. That's talking about, the secret societies, how they function. It's all about trust and keeping things bound by secrecy and bloodlines, to be honest. Don't believe me? Read Fritz Springmeier's book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so that they will never see what is happening. Again, that's your experts, guys. Your scientists, your committees, I can't name any of these organizations because I don't want to get in trouble. God forbid freedom of speech exists. But you know the program. We'll use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so that they will never see what is happening. You see, they don't use science in a subtle way anymore. They use it to control you. They use science to control you. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. Imagine that. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. Again, we will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. Well, let's take a look at what's in the water. Your tap water consists of an amalgam of things such as, but not limited to, hexafluorosilicic acid, hydrofluorosilicic acid, pipe residues, fluorine compounds, fluorine derivatives, algicides, cobalts, runoff, chlorine, chloramine compounds, disinfectant byproducts, deodorizers, aluminum, copper, iron, chlorine, just one of those constituents, accelerates your risk of cancer by over 90%. And not only do you drink this shit and cook with it, but you shower in it. Showers in the city are New Age or New World Order gas chambers. You're breathing in vapor or steam that has fluoride in it, fluorine, hexafluorosilicic acid, pipe residues, scaling lime, inorganic calcium. But don't worry, it has nothing to do with your poor health. You need a high blood pressure drug, or you need this, that, and the other. Don't worry, the shit that you eat day in and day out with massive amounts of sodium and all the garbage, that's not the problem. Come see us. Come see the experts, because we have a pill for you because you're broken. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you eat and drink shit constantly and breathe garbage air. Don't worry. Don't worry. Go back to sleep, moron. Ladies and gentlemen, I've said this once and I'll say it again. In 1976, the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. Put that in your fucking pipe and smoke it. Listen to me closely. In 1976, the U.S. All right, guys, I got a phone call and it took me out of, it stopped my recording. In 1976, the U.S. Public Health Department said that only 1.5% of all Americans were actually healthy. That's monumental. That was in the 70s. Now things are a hell of a lot worse. On top of that, we have people like the U.S. Surgeon General saying that 70% of our diseases, experiences, our pathologies, disease, all of this stuff, it's directly linked to and a byproduct from what we eat, drink, and breathe. The U.S. Surgeon General will tell you that 70% or more of our issues with our health are directly linked and caused by and influenced by the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water that we drink. And this is why what I teach, one of the things that I teach is that in order to get healthy, you start with air, food, and water. You augment or you modify what you eat, drink, and breathe. You increase your health levels that way. You get an air filter, you get a water filter, a distiller, you start filtering your shower water, and you start eating healthy. You get off the gluten and the vegetable oils, the processed foods. You increase your intake of potent antioxidants and high ORAC foods. You supplement with magnesium. I've been teaching this for over 10 years. You ground yourself, you do the full body relaxation exercise, you start building a bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. And the building of this bridge will lead to your success, folks. So, again, let's just get back on track with what we were saying. With the secret covenant, we will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds, plural. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. Again, the soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. What do you think's in the air through the stratospheric aerosol injections that is being done under solar radiation management? This is known as geoengineering or climate engineering or climate intervention by the bigwigs. Don't tell me it's not real. Chemtrails. They're spraying megatons of barium, aluminum, strontium, mylar fibers, chaff, radioactive isotopes, etc., smart dust into the atmosphere. They've already done it. It's reached Popular Science, the magazine. David Keith is all over the news talking about this. They've sprayed metal into the atmosphere. And then we have quotes like that. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. They're creating all this and then providing you with the cure, which is actually more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. From all this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. Of course, this is the land of the dead. You think that you're alive, walking around with 1% of your body's potential activated and your mind's potential? Get a fucking grip. These people, because I'm not pointing my finger at my subscribers. These people are zombies. This is the land of the dead. This is the culture of death. Get your health levels up and go walk around the store or down the street and tell me that those people don't look like NPCs, like they're half dead. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to go. I need to wrap this podcast up. I think this is going to be a twice a week series, you guys. I'm not 100% sure. I am getting a phone call, however. I'm about to, apparently my brother needs me. I love you all. I hope that this message, although I had to cut it short, benefits you in some way or another. And until next time, peace be with you. Look up The Secret Covenant on DuckDuckGo, a PDF, and download it and share it with your friends. Peace be with you.